was with Archie and Jordan.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
On Substack?
Yeah.
Oh,
And we're live.
all
So,
right.
hi everyone.
Hey,
We've got 2 viewers now. All right, that's double what we had a few seconds ago.
that's amazing. 100% audience growth in 5 seconds. This is incredible.
3. All right, we're doing this. All right. So, this is day 2 of the Alberta NDP. Sorry, not Alberta, the federal NDP convention. Very much not the Alberta NDP convention, though. We'll talk about some of the dynamics here in a moment. You might have seen us go live on Nora's channel yesterday with our buddy Cam. Today it's just us two, though we might have some special guests up our sleeve that'll be joining us. But I guess to start, I feel like the vibe from the convention hall today has been a bit different than it was yesterday. Is that something you perceived as well, Nora?
Well, today was only about the candidates. Like, we have not had any convention business at all. It's all been candidates. And so each of the candidates received 22 minutes to be able to do whatever they wanted in it. And that meant there was a lot of talking from the front of the room rather than engagement from the floor, which is going to obviously change how people, the energy in the room and what people do. But I mean, this is kind of the main show, right? Which is why everyone's here. This is the main event. And the energy was kind of like polar, like not polar cold, but like sometimes completely deflated. And I sometimes very energized by what was going on stage. And I guess that's probably the headline. That's what we should talk about. And just so you know, I can't see the comments are too far away, so you're gonna have to.
No comments so far.
Oh,
just
what's a shame.
Names
Guys,
of people joining.
Comment.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that? Like, who do you think who's gonna be the leader based on the showcase?
Someone said we can only see half your faces.
Well, I think see if you can make it not just on your laptop cell phone look.
You're talking to the person who's commenting.
No, I'm talking to you. If you're able to, like, I think there's a problem if you're watching on your cell phone, you're just going to get the strip of us in the middle because, like, this is gross, right?
Yeah.
But we don't see that.
Oh, I can see you fine. It must be their client side. Yeah, I think maybe if you're watching on your phone, because we're recording on my laptop,
Mm-hmm.
turn
it.
Yeah, turn it. Landscape. But anyways, yeah, that's a good point. Like last night, there was a bunch of policy resolution debate, so there was a lot of back and forth between people on the floor. We talked about those on some of those on Nora's channel, which you can go watch after this if you're curious, but don't leave us.
No, it's just there.
Yeah, it's just there. You can or listen to it as a podcast. But anyways, yeah, here it's been very much coming from the stage. So it's been all candidate showcases all morning. First candidate up was Avi Lewis. And each candidate gets to select like who sort of opens for them, who introduces them. And I think most of the candidates had multiple people, but there was like one main person that was sort of the big name who introduced them. In Avi's case, it was obviously his spouse, Naomi Klein, who I think is a very good speaker. She's
a quasi celebrity in this. I mean, in general.
I mean, she's a celebrity. She's like internationally, like she's more famous than he is, for sure. And what was interesting, shoulder cast with Jeremy and Nora. Does that mean you can only see her shoulders?
Turn it different. Turn your phone around.
Yeah.
Don't look at it like up and down.
Yeah. So, yeah. And so what was interesting about Avi, because again, I was saying yesterday, like a lot of the people like in the hallways of the convention stuff, a lot of Avi supporters, not as much Heather supporters. Today, what was interesting, early observation that I think you made, Nora, was that on the stage, there was a lot of excitement for Avi, right? He came up with a lot of his supporters and his team, and they were super enthusiastic. But the audience the response from them was kind of muted, which was an interesting dynamic. And what do you make of that, Nora?
Well, especially considering it was not muted for the other candidates. Like
definitely not
Tennille's
for Heather. Yeah.
definitely not for Heather. Heather got a big round of applause. Tennille got a huge round of applause, and so that's very interesting because like who comes to conventions? People that come to conventions are the ones who are involved in the party, who are doing kind of the boring day-to-day work of riding association management or coordination or whatever. And so it's going to probably skew away from a maverick candidate. You know, it's going to skew towards someone who's been elected, because a lot of the people in the room, if not everybody, has worked an election before. They've all probably experienced an election loss with very few exceptions. And one of those exceptions is Heather. And so I think with Avi, all of the excitement that we've been seeing online and in his events is not necessarily going to translate into this hall, which also doesn't translate into the results because, of course, most of the results have already been decided on. It's not this room that's deciding on those results.
Right. Which is sort of interesting dynamic, like somewhat counterintuitive, right? But yeah, I mean, it was the vote was online. I know lots of people in Edmonton, where I live, who aren't here. Most of the people I know joined the party to participate aren't here. And they just vote online. And
actually, let's say that because you're from Alberta, and we were talking to other journalists here, making the point of like Alberta actually has a huge amount of members, right? So in my mind, I think of Alberta as being like how many federal seats? 15, 12? Like not that many. No, maybe more.
Yeah, around 20 something. All but 3 are conservative.
Yeah. So, but in the federation, like when I look at it from Quebec, I mean, Quebec has a huge number of seats, and I think of Alberta as being marginal, especially because it's so conservative and not that many seats. In this setting, though, when it's one member, one vote, and Alberta does have a lot of members, it is an interesting dynamic that maybe, I mean, I've been saying that I think that Avi is going to win on the first vote at 55%. Maybe I'm totally wrong because I actually don't really have a sense of who the members are, and they're in your backyard.
Yeah, it did make me second guess. I mean, the thing is, Heather's strategy was to win over existing members. I think that's quite clear. Avi was seeking to grow the party, which is interesting because Heather rhetorically, and she talked about this in her speech today, and Rachel Notley did too, who opened for her, and I think got probably the biggest applause even before she spoke. She got a standing ovation.
Yeah.
Was talking about the politics of sort of addition rather than subtraction. Not that, and Heather's not subtracting anyone from the party for sure, but it's Avi who seems to be adding people to the party. Now, the complicated thing about such a disproportionate number of NDP members being part of the Alberta NDP is they signed up to join to support Naheed Nenshi in the Alberta NDP leadership race, which was, I guess, a couple of years ago now. In Nenshi's, I mean, it was very much not a substantive policy oriented leadership race. Like to some extent, I think this federal leadership race has been. And Nenshi's big thing was that we're gonna loosen ties with the federal party, right? Because the NDP is the only party. I think the PCs used to be like this, where the federal and provincial wings are tied together, right? And so if you join the Alberta NDP, you automatically join the federal NDP. And the Alberta NDP, a lot of people who vote Liberal federally vote NDP provincially, as is the case across Western Canada. Right. And I mean, look at the electoral map of Edmonton. I mean, you even have some people who vote Conservative federally who vote NDP provincially, right? Like, there isn't necessarily like a rhyme or reason to it. But I think what happened was, I think with Nenshi, he brought a lot of new people into the party. And then he made it so that you can opt out when you sign up for the Alberta NDP of the federal party. So you can join one and not the other, but you have to opt out, right? So there's still that link where if you don't opt out, you're a member of both.
And they'll be voting. Or have already voted.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people, because it was 2 years ago, have just let their memberships lapse. I mean, part of that is Nenshi's been very underwhelming, as our friend Dave Cournoyer has written about.
Shout out to Dave.
Yeah, if you're watching. Hey, Evan, I saw Lynn on stage with Avi, and they were very enthusiastic. Their spirit fingers. Evan's an Edmonton buddy of mine. But so it's not like 1-to-1. Like I would be interested to see the regional breakdown of numbers now that Nenshi has been leader for 2 years. Hasn't really inspired. I mean, he's behind like the UCP. It's wild. The polling is so incongruent because on the one hand, it's like most Albertans agree the province is moving in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
They're not happy with Danielle Smith, but yet she's crushing the NDP in the polls. So
yeah. So we've talked about Avi. We talked a little bit about Heather. Some other surprises today. So I mentioned Tennille. Her presentation stood out for me as being, I think it was the best. And I think it was the best in terms of the tone that she took. She was so comfortable on stage. It was a contrast. So of these people showed up on stage. And so it was a big group of people. After that was Tony McQuail. And Tony did not have a big group of people behind him.
It was just
super
him.
surprising. It was just him.
And one person opened for him.
And he was nominated by a young member of the party, a young racialized member of the party, who talked about how Tony represents a lot of good stuff, which, obviously what you expect in someone that's endorsing them. Tony's speech was boring, frankly. Like I thought.
Yeah, it was. I'm a Tony guy.
Yeah, he's a huge Tony fan.
Yeah. If I were a member of the party, I don't know if I'd actually rank him first, but we'll say I rank him first for the bit. But sure. I like him. I ran into him yesterday. Very calm guy. Yeah. Like I want to like.
You're severely pro hat.
Yeah, I'm pro hat. I want to do psychedelics with him and just like go to a waterfall and have him like serenade me with the flute.
Yeah, he had a song as well that played. Didn't give credit, but my guess is that it was James Gordon, who's an activist in the NDP. But maybe I'm wrong. But after the energy of Avi, energy kind of goes down with Tony McQuail, and then Tennille Johnson takes the stage. She was drummed on by a group of drummers, which was really, really, really powerful. And her nominator was someone from Quebec, an Indigenous woman who's a librarian. And Tennille made the point that this is the average person that the NDP should be trying to reach, that she wants to reach as leader. And it was kind of from start to finish like the perfect package. Lewis's was good too, but it was kind of standard, right? Like it was very much, my wife's nominating me. Now I'm speaking. Here are my supporters.
My wife.
My wife.
You ever seen that? Borat?
No, I don't watch Borat. I'm not a huge fan of that guy.
Well, look, I don't think he's funny, but I really liked his politics.
Shit. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, no, actually, Larry Charles, who directed Borat, does have very good politics.
Is that right?
Yeah, very anti-Zion. He went on Chapo and talked, because he used to write for Seinfeld. And he directed Bill Maher's dog shit movie, and he was just talking about how these people suck. And,
I guess once you work with Bill Maher, your politics become whatever Bill Maher is not. Because he's such an odious piece of shit.
You know the I Hate Bill Maher podcast?
No, but I have seen Bill Maher live.
You should go on it. I know.
I've seen Bill Maher live.
Yeah.
I've gone to his stupid show.
Yeah, and he gets mad when the audience doesn't clap.
Yeah, he was like yelling at the audience saying that they're too PC because they didn't like any of his jokes. But anyway, so Tennille was a real standout. And then perhaps the weirdest one was Rob Ashton.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so Tennille, what was interesting is she gets up there and she's doing like trivia. And
it was so good.
It was fun because she was just like, okay, I'm reading quotes from the other candidates and you have to guess who said it. And like they were pretty easy. Like I think we all got them all.
Yeah.
All right. I can't think of any specific ones off the top of my head. But it was fun. It was like also I think good for like unifying the party because again there are obviously divisions within the federal NDP. Some of which I think Notley really was alluding to about how McPherson throughout her campaign is like we need to learn from the federal NDPs. We have to work with them and not against them. And Lewis, in contrast, is saying, well, yeah, sure, but we don't have to agree on everything. So it was kind of a nice, like, cute, like, unity exercise that Tennille did. And then we get Rob, Rob is the penultimate speaker. And so Rob is introduced by B. Brusk from the CLC.
And actually, my head wasn't up. I was talking to someone, and when I heard her introduce herself, I was like, oh, wow, Rob's sister's nominating her. That's so interesting. And I looked up, I was like, oh, it's Be Brusque. Oh, sister, like the labor movement.
Yeah.
I'm
Because
here
she's
to
talking
nominate
about
my
Brother Rock.
brother. And so, yeah, so she was a labor candidate. We're going to take a bit of a pause because we have a guest.
Special guest.
Hello.
Guest.
Tell everyone your name.
I'm Marlo Glass. I'm a reporter with the Hill Times and a native Winnipegger, and I'm really happy to be here.
All right. Now, I'm going to even move further over because the camera is not a laptop camera. It's a nice camera.
Okay.
Yeah. So look at the nice camera.
Okay.
So is this your first?
Yes, this is my first. This is my first ever actually political convention.
Whoa. Yeah. Okay. What do you think?
I went home last night really inspired hearing from the delegates, the youth and people from like the disability movement and all the different movements. I think they left me feeling a lot more inspired than the leadership, frankly, today. So I'm sitting with that a little bit.
That's interesting. Well, I mean, you're going to see average people. You're going to see people that are involved in politics for the real reasons. Right. And, I covered the Conservative convention, and it was always, for me, it is always funner to talk to the average delegate.
Right.
Because then you're also looking for like, okay, who is average? Who's nuts?
Right.
Because every convention has that too, right?
Yeah.
And how different is their rhetoric from what's being said at the front of the room? Did you see any of that clash in terms of the issues that they were talking about and what you're hearing from the leadership here?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, obviously the leadership, they've had a good chance now over the past 6 months to kind of polish up on their talking points. Some maybe a little more polished than others, generally speaking. But yeah, like you do hear a lot. I love that Tony McQuail's campaign manager is like 19 years old or something like that. I love that. Like he got up there and he let us all know like why Tony, this organic farmer, is, has made his solid pitch.
This is a pro Tony podcast. We are.
You are.
Yeah.
People got real pissed that I didn't interview him.
Oh yeah.
I didn't have time, so I had to cut it at someone, and I was going to cut it at Tony, and the Tony heads were not loving me.
It's like, you remember when Mike Gravel ran for president, and he had these teams managing his social media.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was kind of like the Ayatollah. His Twitter was very funny.
Oh yes. Yeah, it was good too, and he on stage at the debates. Yeah. It was gonna be like, which Ayatollah?
The one that just was killed.
Yeah. Because there are many, as Homer Simpson.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, so with all of the leadership, you saw the what is they call the showcases today. Whose was the strongest, and we almost got to our weirdest point when you joined.
Okay, well, I don't mean to interrupt. What was your weirdest point?
It was Rob. It was Rob, because he did. So he's introduced by B. Brusque.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, you didn't expect that. I mean, she's CLC president. Yeah, she's endorsed him. Then he does this like panel format with a few of his supporters. One of them was Benita Zarrillo, whose name I know. I think she's
former NDP MP.
Yeah, from
okay, yes,
she's very good online. She likes my stuff, so yeah, that's cool.
And a couple other people whose names I forget. But I have a recording of them.
Sorry.
But you're not doing this justice. It was weird.
It was weird. It was.
I wasn't. It was atypical.
Yeah.
because Rob's the kind of guy that like needs to be standing.
Right.
Like he doesn't seem like a guy that sits down comfortably. And they put him on a high chair, doing like an Oprah style thing.
It reminded me of there were some Bernie Sanders events during his 2020 campaign where it was also like a panel format. It was just people being like, tell us about this great policy of yours. Now, I saw it. I thought it was interesting. I noted it on Twitter because, again, as you noted, it's unusual. Yeah. And I had to go to the bathroom. So I come back, and all of a sudden, I thought I had missed the beginning of Heather, who was the last person to go up showcase. But then I see it's like what Lewis did. He's got all his supporters up there. He's talking. And I was like, wow, that's like, did he like change costumes? I didn't know what he was wearing
before. There was a wardrobe. He did a
yeah. He runs backstage, comes out.
It was a real energy change, right? Like it's kind of like we had like the buttoned up like, and how do you feel about that section? And then like there was kind of the more like union rally type section where he was up and he had his big voice on, and he was kind of more, I think, a little bit more true to form of what people like about Rob Ashton, which is that like he yells and swears. I don't think he swore up there this time.
He's very careful to not swear, actually. He was really, when I interviewed him, he was like really trying not to swear. And I'm like, dude, this is not going on.
Yeah, like, relax.
We're okay, right? And he was very like, I think he even said like bull doo-doo or something. Like, totally like, okay. Like he was very used to not.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess in defense of the roundtable, like I was a little bit more compelled than like the slick, highly produced videos that I just kind of like my eyes glaze over. I'm not paying attention and I don't care.
Yeah. Each of the candidates had their own video.
Yeah.
And Rob actually kept his video to the end, which was also a bit strange.
It was different.
It was strange in that like you want to see like if you've got 20 minutes and you're trying to showcase your candidate, you want to get his style out, you want his substance out, and you want to demonstrate that he has support. Those are like,
and also differentiate
and
like stand out.
Totally. And in this, it was like it took till Jeremy went to the bathroom to get to that point.
I'm not going to take credit for doing that, but if you want to give me credit, I will
graciously
humbly accept it.
Yeah, very nice.
And then last up is, of course, Heather McPherson, the only person who's actually elected running in this race. Rachel Notley opened for, and I think I already mentioned this earlier, but it maybe bears repeating for people who weren't here, that Notley gets up on stage and gets a standing ovation.
That's right.
Before she says a word.
Yeah.
Which tells you that the crowd here today on the floor, very Heather oriented.
Or leadership oriented.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And well, I think also that like, because the thing is, I've seen the online chatter and noise and stuff. It's like a lot of Heather supporters are like, I'm never voting NDP again if Avi Lewis wins. I think it's just the loudest ones, though. I think most Heather supporters are probably, would prefer Avi didn't win. But if he did, I mean, if you're here, you're a new Democrat, right? Like So
here's a pop quiz. Do you remember who spoke in at the 2020 which convention? The convention where Mulcair shivved. I want to say 2020 or 2018, but I forget if it was
2016.
2016.
That's right. It was the Leap Manifesto one.
Yeah. So do you remember on the Sunday morning, just before the confirmation of Mulcair's leadership, who were the two speakers that they had?
Notley?
Notley was one of them.
Phillips?
No.
McGowan?
No. It wasn't an Alberta person. This was what managed to do it, I think. This was the psychological thing that did it. It was Stephen Lewis.
Oh.
Remember? I think.
I don't remember that.
I feel like it was because it was two completely different discourses, completely different messages coming from different kinds of places in the party. And that was all of a sudden Mulcair gets up there in his speech compared to the two of them, having given very different vision styles, whatever, that basically people both love both. And then Mulcair gets up there and he's so bad that he loses his leadership review. Right. And so isn't that interesting that those are the tendencies that at this convention are, I'm going to have to triple check it, but I'm like 90%. It was definitely Notley, and I believe Stephen Lewis was the other.
That sounds right. I mean, they both definitely spoke at that convention.
Okay, then it was that.
Yeah. And it's interesting because Stephen Lewis, when he was leader of the Ontario NDP and David Lewis was leader of federal, I mean, they were the right wing of the party. I mean, they purged the waffle, right? And James Laxer, hit their movement to push the party towards the hard left, and they purged that. And now Avi is it's almost like a revenge of the hard left.
It's like a boomerang.
Yeah. And Stephen's evolved politically a lot over the years, particularly on Palestine. Is very much on board with Avi's involvement in the Palestine Solidarity Movement. And he signed the Leap Manifesto, which again, people compared to the waffle and the NPI, and they're not the same thing, but it is just that sort of
that renegade.
The party needs to be more firmly left wing, right? So Notley spoke. She's a good speaker, very and I moved to Alberta halfway through the Notley premiership 2017. By then, Jason Kenney was back, and he was, uniting the right, and so the writing was on the wall for the NDP, and they'd totally lost steam. I had forgotten until I saw Notley speak during the federal election, a pretty sad rally they had in downtown Edmonton with Heather and Blake Desjardins, who was an MP there, in Jugmeet, and then Chris Smalls from the Amazon Labor Union and the Gaza Flotilla made a surprise guest appearance because he was in town for the AFL convention. And I had forgotten, I hadn't realized how Notley, hearing Notley speak, her speech was very folksy, very much like this prairie populist style. That was what got her elected in 2015, but she kind of ran out of steam by 2019. I mean, 2023 campaign was just totally anti-populist. But yeah, I mean, she's a good speaker.
Well, and so, Marlo, what did you think about the look? Did it look good? Did it sound good?
I thought it was one of the more polished, and I don't think maybe that's really unsurprising given that Rachel Notley and Heather McPherson are the two most experienced in we had that tight little clip of Heather McPherson's performance in the House of Commons and things like that, right? So I don't think it's surprising that they are two women that are quite skilled orators. This is really their medium. This is where they do well. I think sometimes in debates, I didn't see that same Heather, right? When she's kind of, and I think maybe, I don't know why it is, but I don't know why it is exactly, but during the last year's federal election in Ottawa, I was covering Ottawa Centre, and there was the debate, and there was the Green candidate, the NDP candidate, the Liberal candidate, who was I don't know, all the polling said he was at 99% locked to maintain his riding. That's Yasser Naqvi. Yeah. He's super, super popular in Ottawa Centre. And then the Conservative candidate didn't show up. And so the entire night, at a couple, it wasn't just in Ottawa Centre, but in a lot of debates. And so the entire night was we agree on this, but I'd like to go further. I agree on this, but I'd like to make a small adjustment, or I agree on this and blah, blah. And so it was really hard to write a debate story because there was no sparring. There was gentle adjustments to each other's position.
So in the Edmonton Centre debate that I went to, the Conservative didn't show, but we had the Marxist-Leninist Party, the Communist Party, obviously NDP, Liberal. This guy who admitted later when he ran for cocaine, ran for mayor, was high on cocaine, who brought a bottle of gin on the stage.
As one does.
You guys get down.
And it was an episode of Trailer Park Boys. And he kept interrupting, and it was quite annoying. And then the Christian Heritage Party candidate, who was not the craziest person on stage, because we had Ron Billingsley Jr. I know Evan is a huge fan of his. But so there actually was somewhat of a debate there.
Right.
But it was also kept being interrupted by, Ron Billingsley Jr., baby. Just one thing I want, Matt Fedor says you were correct about the 2016 convention.
Thanks, Matt.
It was Notley and Lewis. Notley talked about being pragmatic and winning, quote unquote. I think she was calling Charlie Sheen.
Well, she was really winning back then, maybe. But
maybe, when was that was
it 2016. That was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That's scary. And it's funny too, because the lore around the Leap having had such a big impact on that convention. I mean, it did, but I remember watching the NDP insiders try to organize to make sure that there was no anti-pipeline motion that got to the floor. This was their focus.
Yeah.
And because they were so focused on that, they forgot that actually Mulcair might not be able to get his leadership confirmation. And so there was no organizing on that at all. And to see the dreaming, very excellent speech of Stephen Lewis and the very pragmatically excellent speech of Notley, it just made the convention goers go, Mulcair's not cutting it. And so it was the Leap's impact on this was actually to distract the leadership, to focus on pipelines, and to forget the fact that Mulcair was vulnerable. And I think this goes back to also taking Quebec for granted, which is that, he's a Quebecer. He's our ticket to winning Quebec. Of course, the delegates are going to support him. But it's you can't really have a Thatcherite Liberal leading this party and have the general membership be okay with that, which of course was they weren't.
Totally a third way Blairite. And Notley wasn't quite that.
No, she wasn't. She gave a different vision. I mean, she was obviously not anti-pipeline, but her speech was like one of someone who was excellent, like an excellent leader, an excellent public speaker, understood the room, knew how to play with the crowd. And Mulcair never connected with the NDP membership like that at all.
Yeah, and I think, from my understanding, though, I think a lot of Alberta NDP people were also pissed at Mulcair for not like just putting a stop to all the pipeline, for Mulcair letting that conversation happen.
For sure.
So it was sort of
tried. As I say, I watched them calling like individuals and really trying to organize the mics to make sure that did not happen.
Well, the Leap was originally like buried at the end of the policy resolutions, and Avi had to go like first thing in the morning to appeal to like the resolutions committee on why it should be moved up. And the Alberta NDP people didn't send anyone to oppose it, and they were aware of it. It was only when the Wildrose and PCs started using that as a talking point that they, instead of, right, I think there was a way the Alberta NDP people could have handled it in which they're like, look, we don't agree with all of this, but there are some good things in here that, like, right, because it was very social democratic, right? It wasn't just talking about ending fossil fuels or phasing them out, not just ending them tomorrow like that Fred Laurie guy thinks Avi Lewis wants. But huge if true. But phasing them out. But there are other things that totally, and Heather McPherson told me, she was like, look, I wasn't against most of what was in that document. She just didn't like, I mean, she called it a vanity project, which, you know.
I think it is.
I mean,
have you read the Leap recently?
Yeah, I did. For the first time. A lot of people didn't read it who had a lot of opinions on it. And it's not very long.
It's not long. I mean, the thing that struck me from reading it again. Have you ever read it, Marlo?
No.
The thing that struck me the most reading about it, like this past week, because we talked about it on the podcast, was like there's one thing to have the dream, the vision, which is important, but then the other piece was like their action plan.
Right.
Their action plan was just to have town halls. It could have been so easily criticized without making it about oil and gas. And that's where the party falls into traps all the time, right? But that's probably the Alberta MPP's fault.
Yeah. I mean, again, from the get-go, their strategy was, we're gonna do this climate leadership plan, and we're gonna get oil and gas industry on board to do a carbon tax, to do coal phase out, and to cap oil sands emissions. But the cap was higher than emissions were currently, so still allowing them to grow.
Room for growth.
Yeah, and they got Shan Phillips and Rachel Notley on stage with a bunch of First Nations leaders, environmentalists like Sephora Berman, and the CEOs of 4 of the 5 big oil companies. And they're in the big oil, right? Big oil is like, sure, we'll pay a carbon tax. They don't care. It's the small producers, the people who Danielle Smith has always cultivated, going back to the Wildrose, that are really like, climate change is fake. It's a globalist conspiracy. You should give us money to clean up our, orphan wells because times are tough. But then what happened was, I think 3 out of 4 of these CEOs who appeared on stage with Notley and Phillips and others were turfed by their boards like within a year.
Tough crowd.
Right? And I talked to Sephora Berman about that for the Kenny book, because Kenny made her like an object of like personal vilification, as he did for Notley and Phillips, who was stalked by Lethbridge cops.
And me.
And you, that's right, during the Humble. I remember that.
Jason Kenney went right after me.
Yeah, he loves going after women. Interestingly. Kate Jacobson was another he went after. But Sephora Berman was like, it was a waste of my time. I mean, we're in a climate emergency, and you can't trust big oil. They're not operating in good faith. They're operating to make a lot of money.
Yep.
Right. And they're gonna, the UCP are like the pipeline party. Right. You can't out pipeline them. Right. And it was a failure, I think, to offer an alternative. And I think Avi is offering a clear alternative. I know you're a lot more cynical about his campaign than I am, Nora.
You just want to also do LSD with him too.
Yeah, I don't want to get him in trouble, but
oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah,
I already did.
No, I have not. But would I'd consider it. But what do you make of the sort of the Lewis campaign, Marlo? Because I was skeptical when again, he's tried to run for office twice,
right,
and hasn't been elected,
right. And had that vote share go down.
From because he increased it in 21 last year, just total wipeout. And it's both were safe Liberal seats, but like still, it's like you want to flip those seats to New Democrats,
or at least hit 20%.
Were you surprised by sort of the energy that Lewis campaign has sort of seemed to be like inspiring among like a certain set of people who are joining the party?
Yeah, I am surprised. I guess I'm surprised on two fronts, because I'm surprised by the energy, and I'm also surprised by his placid approach to joining the House of Commons. I do think that is an important thing for a leader to do, as ideally as quickly as possible. I don't think it's necessarily like a requirement, but he keeps asking he keeps being asked, like, you've tried to be an MP twice now. Historically has not gone well for you. So what's the plan? If you do become leader, what's the plan to get into the House? And like, Wob, he had a very straight up, strident message yesterday. Feel free to win. Like, feel free to start winning and build that type of power. And of course, like, electoral or parliamentary power is certainly not the only type of power that you can,
it's a party.
But it helps.
Like,
is it not?
I mean, I think he's going to run in Beaches East York.
Yeah.
And if he loses
No, there's no way he's running Beaches East York.
You don't think so?
The election is what, April 12th or something, or April 23rd?
Is it that soon? Does the NDP have a candidate nominated?
I don't think so.
I think because, again, he's from Toronto, right? He's born and raised in Toronto. Again,
went to Upper Canada College.
Yes, which, is definitely a pox on him. I liked what you said in the most recent Sandy and Nora, where it's like, if you went to Upper Canada College and you're progressive, you need to atone for the rest of your life.
You have to atone for the rest of your life.
You know who also went to Upper Canada College?
Galen Weston Jr.
Damn.
Well, I was going to say
Brendan Fraser.
House of Decline, Alex.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. She went to UCC.
No.
I have to go, but I'll leave you folks with this. My family this week accused me of being an Upper Canadian snob.
So they do that in Manitoba too.
I've been away for too long.
That's really important, because if you literally have Upper Canadian College in your CV.
Yeah. And I do not. I'm a proud graduate of the University of Winnipeg. Okay.
Very nice. No, Upper Canada College, by the way, is an elementary and high school.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. It's like a prep school, right? Like,
it's the most
that's the most Toronto thing I've ever heard.
It's the most prestigious school in Canada.
It's like Conrad Black went there.
Yeah.
But did Ignatieff?
I thought Ignatieff and Ray were roommates from there, but I think that was from U of T. But I'm
sure.
See, guys, I'm not an upper. Like, I don't belong there. Like, I don't know what you're even talking about.
Probably Coyne went there.
Yeah. I mean,
no, it's the upper up. It's not just private school.
It's like the upper crust
private school.
Yeah.
I need to get back to file. But thank you for having me.
So thank you. At the Hill Times, find her reporting at the Hill Times, and you have to pay for it. That's how it works.
Matt Fedor, fact check. No by-election yet in Beaches East York. It's University Rosedale and Scarborough West, right? Freeland and Blair's
in Terrebonne. Sorry, of course.
And then, and the Liberals are going to win 203 and get a majority. And Ted Rogers went to UCC too. Yeah, no surprise there. Glenn Todden has a question that I think you're the right person to answer, Nora.
Love it.
What are good ways to keep pressure on local ridings associations to be more active in organizing?
Well, I think like if you are not involved with a riding association right now and you are really interested in getting involved with the NDP, now's the time to get there. And you'll start to see the dynamics in riding associations that make some of the promises for change so difficult. Because there are people that are involved with riding associations who are excellent, who have excellent politics and who organize. And I think you've talked a little bit about how Heather has organized her riding association, which is quite impressive, actually. And the way that she has done it is the way that the Lewis campaign is saying it should be done everywhere. So she's got that experience. But then sometimes you have places where you've got executives who have been there forever, who are useless, who are hostile to new people getting involved. And so to dislodge hostile and non-left wing riding association executives, I think that's one place that people can get involved. Now, if you have you ever been on a riding association?
No.
No. I spent 7 years on the riding association for Quebec Solidaire in Quebec City. And it's a bit of a different beast because we don't have to do the fundraising. Like Quebec fundraising laws are quite different. So
it's publicly financed.
It's publicly financed, and you can't overspend a certain amount. So, like, I think the last election that I was involved in, or the spending cap was $37,000. Period. So you can't raise more than that. There's no point. Like, then that's going to the national party. But even still, there's a limit to what you can do for fundraising. And because the party's more activist, we use that riding association to get involved with other struggles within Quebec City. And I think that is a way to do it, is that if you are a labor activist, if you care about the environment, like get involved in the riding association to see if they are doing that work. And if they're not, then you've got your kind of, you've got your plan of action. But the reality, though, is that riding associations are bureaucratic mechanisms for what is a bourgeois party. This is not a socialist party, right? Like the NDP is not a socialist party.
It's a workers' party now.
It's a bourgeois workers' party, I guess, And so unlike, if we imagine socialism, where you would have local instances that are democratic, that are doing democratic work to feed into some sort of broader council of democratic action, that doesn't exist in the NDP. That's not what the NDP is. It's not how it's structured. So you can't imagine doing something with a structure that is not made to do that. And if you were going to transform the NDP into that, I mean, then we're talking about some really fundamental changes that I don't get the sense that people here are all that interested in. Because, I mean, it's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've never really been inspired to get involved politically beyond voting and then writing about politics.
Yeah.
So I've never been involved with. I mean, I'm from Thornhill, right? So that if I got involved with the NDP EDA there, I mean,
you didn't want to get that turtle-looking guy elected?
Lauren Cherry?
No, the mayor.
Oh, Steve Del Duca.
In
Vaughan, yeah, Mayor of Vaughan, because Thornhill's part of Vaughan. Glenn says workers don't have time to volunteer for worker parties. Retirees and stay-at-home parents do. Parents do, but
they know. I mean, but here's the thing: it's you can't build anything and assume that the people you're building it with and for have all this extra time, right? The reason why unions are involved with the NDP partly is because they understand that their members are going to be too busy, and the members are electing their own voices in the workplace, and that is then going to feed into what is our de facto labor party. That's not how it works, but that's how it's supposed to work. But you know what? When we are doing work with Quebec Solidaire, we're always trying to get people who are parents or who are young or whatever. Ultimately, the riding association would be run by retirees, people with a bit of extra time. So that was a certain kind of person, and young people. And that's going to be the case, I think, no matter where you look in Canada. And I have the list of notable alum for UCC.
Oh, let's read it.
Well, I didn't know Foster Hewitt.
Who's that?
Foster Hewitt was the voice of the NHL in Canada. Of course, people mentioned in the comments why sports guy here doesn't know who Foster Hewitt is. Very important.
Oh, because I'm not a hockey guy. Baseball, American/Canadian football. Those are my sports.
Okay. Ignatieff, you were right.
Yeah. You can just tell with some of these people.
You can just tell. Stephen Leacock, obviously. That's going real far back. Peter C. Newman was the UCC guy.
He's a good writer.
He's a great writer. Peter C. Newman's one of the best,
mm-hmm.
and I was very
one of the greatest to ever do it.
Him a couple of times.
Ted Rogers, as was mentioned,
obviously. Galen Weston, as I had said. Yeah. So there's a couple of them. There's another page that has more. This is the old boy profiles.
So literally the old boys club.
The old boys club, and
all-star alumni. So what's the difference? Are these athletes? I guess
all-stars athletes. Yeah.
What athletes went there?
There are currently more than 10,000 old boys in 75 countries.
Oh my God.
Around the world. Colin Greening from the Maple Leafs. Brian Conacher from the Leafs.
Any baseball players?
Baseball? Like, does anyone play baseball in Canada? Yeah, Drew Taylor.
No.
So these are the old boys.
Some football players.
Guys. So anyway, this is the thing. It's like you gotta pull those connections if you're gonna have
Yeah. And I don't know that Lewis hasn't, but I don't know that he has.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah. I mean, it would be interesting to know who is in his graduating class that's also like well known, because he's like Jason Kenney's age, I think. Interesting. Jason Kenney's dad ran a boarding school in Wilcox, Saskatchewan. That is a huge incubator for NHL talent. A lot of famous hockey players went to Notre Dame, Athol Murray College at Notre Dame in Wilcox.
This is good because the longer you talk, the more random trivia we get from Jason Kenney.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Tell us about the corporate takeover of the Canadian state.
Oh my God. Yeah, well, no.
I mean, yeah, because I do remember I when I interviewed you about the first book in the series, the Social Safety Net, you talked about how, and this is relevant to this discussion, unlike trivia. Well, some trivia, but
this trivia is great.
But you didn't talk about the NDP a lot in the first book.
No.
And you were ambivalent about that, but then you realized that they're not really like relevant in this, like that they were sort of followers in the destruction of the social safety net. Like they weren't, they certainly didn't do much on federal and especially provincial level to protect the social safety net.
Well, they couldn't. I mean, like, so this is I think the real, and people that have read my most recent piece will know that this is what I'm thinking about. But when we're talking about the NDP, we have to understand this is a party that is very much of the post-war Keynesian arrangement that saw a boom in social programs, that saw a boom in unionization, membership and union density, higher wages, and we're able to say, okay, so we're winning higher and higher wages for industrial workers. Those industrial workers need a political voice because they're not traditionally allied to the liberals or the conservatives, right? And so as that era has ended, this is the big question. What does that do to the NDP? And I think that this is where it's so difficult to know how this party should be operating because the foundation of what made it successful and possible in the first place has been completely eroded.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, do you see some sort of revival in the works here of like that part?
No. I mean,
it's like
it's tied to economic conditions that don't exist. So revival, I don't think. I like so again, like being someone in Quebec, watching things rise and fall, collapse, recruitment, you really understand that every time something collapses and something comes in its place, it's formed to meet the political context, the political reality of the moment. And in English Canada, on the left, we do not have that. We don't have that practice. We don't have that experience. And I mean, if you look at the economic conditions that gave birth to the CCF, or that gave birth to the original radicals in the House of Commons, who then were able to get with the Ginger Caucus, the group of liberals to support their desires to get certain social programs passed in the 1920s, which then of course results in the Wordsworth Heaps agreement to get pensions, to get public pensions. That was a playbook that worked then. The playbook that worked well in the 60s is from the 60s. And unfortunately, I think that this party is still trapped in a playbook that has no relevance at all. Which is why it's like, again, as we said yesterday, if you're talking about the working class, you're not doing fuck all by adding it to the name of your constitution, which is the policy debate that existed yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very surface level. But one thing actually, because I did a piece for Alberta Views, which is the cover story on newsstands.
Congratulations.
This month. Yeah, it's actually my second cover story for that.
Oh.
And yeah, but the online version doesn't come out till April 1st. So the leadership race is always already going to be over, but it's about who can win the working class back to the NDP. And I think Heather, I went to an local event in Edmonton that was at the Boilermakers Hall, and it was very like traditional, like guys in hard hats type of workers, right? And that's who she's been going for. Because those are the workers that Polyev is cultivating, right? And I interviewed Lewis for the piece too, and I think he made a good point. That when we talk about the working class, like, yeah, guys in hard hats are an important part of the working class, but there are also like racialized women in the suburbs who work at Tim Hortons, right? Or nurses and in public sector workers, right? And I think that's true. I mean, the question is, okay, so how are you going to win these people to the party? Because I mean, people are just so beaten down by decades of like neoliberal slop. And, they believe, government is the problem, that they're all a bunch of crooks. So I'm just going to vote for someone who will, I'll have to pay less taxes to under, right? And how do you offer a vision for these people that, like a counter vision, because it's easy, I think, for the right to just say, I'm going to cut your taxes, right? We're going to rob Ford, right? Stop the gravy train. The left, to counter that, I mean, you do have to tell a story that is more, not necessarily complex, but like intricate. And it's a challenge. And I mean, Avi is like a career storyteller. But it's at this point, and I mean, again, he's not even leader yet, unclear to me how he plans to actually, yes, like it's good that he's identifying this broader working class that exists, but like, how is he going to bring them over to the NDP? And yeah,
but this is the missing piece. And what I see, like, he's not. This is why I'm so cynical about this. Like, if you're going to reach out to working class people, you have to figure out what are their institutions to be able to reach them, right? Who are they organized around? And so, you can look at their employers, which is how the conservatives do it. You can look at their social groups, their language groups, their religious groups. That's how the conservatives do it. You can look at their unions, which is how the left does it, right? So you look at personal care
and the conservatives in certain cases, like
sort of that as well.
Yeah.
And this is where the Lewis campaign is, the labor movement has been an afterthought to them. Like when I interviewed Avi, he was talking about how they didn't talk to UFCW when they were promising a public grocery option. And he's like, we recognize, like, I should have done that.
Right. Heather also made a point of that at the Boilermakers Hall. She was like, she's like, workers at grocery stores that I've talked to aren't interested. They're like, she's like, they wouldn't even shake hands with someone who is advocating. One of her, she throws in her subtle digs at Avi without mentioning him a lot. Like I can tell Heather does not like Avi on a personal level. It will be interesting if
they have to work together.
Yeah, and I think they probably will, because that's what politics is about.
They'll figure it out.
You don't have to like each other.
But this is an instinctual thing, right? Again, if you're an organizer, the question is not, how do I bring people to me? You go to where people are.
Yeah.
And it's like you target. And right down to, like, we were talking about how there's flyers at this convention that the main labor slate, they didn't even get their flyers printed with union fucking printing.
Yeah, which is very funny.
Insane. But these are instincts that you build over the years of doing this kind of organizing. And because the working class is so fragmented, that there's nothing bringing them together, that it's not enough to promise them hope. It's not enough to promise them words. You have to actually show that you've been able to do something. And this is a real problem with the NDP, because when they're hanging their hat, the only thing that's coming out of this convention that they're able to do for real is the dental care plan.
Dental
plan, right? Is what everybody's talking about, is dental plan. And
which
even
is
that,
the Liberals are actually
with the Liberals actually.
Well, now they're holding it up because we have to give more money to military contractors, but
it was also, it's like an imperfect program. It's not a universal program. It missed a lot of people, and a lot of low-income people already had access to dental care from various like hodgepodge programs. So it's good. It's a victory, but it's not the kind of victory that you're going to put on a banner, walk into a poor neighborhood and go, vote for us. We gave you dental, because they don't have it.
Well, and you've said this before. It's not a program. It's like, it's actually through private insurance. It's through like Sun Life, I think. It's just giving a private insurance. It's like it's Obamacare for teeth, right? And so Polyev can be like, this is a corporate subsidy, right? And he's not wrong. And it's bad. You know, people are getting their teeth cleaned that haven't had them cleaned in a very long time. So I don't want to, like, it is an accomplishment. And same with, you know, in the provinces that have actually reached agreements with the feds to get contraceptives and diabetes medications. I mean, that is the framework for a social program, you know. But again, Alberta is, you know, we want the money, not we, but like Daniel Smith. It's like, no, give us the money and then we'll give it to bankrupt oil companies.
For sure. And these are the blockages that you're going to get no matter what you try to do in this country. And it's that kind of cold water. It's that kind of living. Like, I feel like oftentimes and I think this is a general feeling you get in Canada, like that there's no adults in the room. Like, there's no adults in the room. And so Lewis's challenge is to put adults in the room and to come up with stuff that is not only good sounding, but is practical, and that people can see the path forward, and that people can believe that he's capable of doing what he promises. And frankly, I mean, the fact that he didn't break out of the small NDP bubble in the leadership campaign outside of the broader population, I think that's a huge problem. I think it's a huge problem for him.
But because the information we have about like NDP members is quite limited, right? Like we don't know exactly we know who's giving to the party, and you know, I did a piece on that recently.
But there's this Angus Reid survey that said that only 13% of Canadians even know who he is.
Right, which isn't. I mean, someone was saying on Blue Sky, like, oh, he's winning because of a name recognition, and I'm like, I don't think more people know who Avi Lewis is than Heather McPherson. Like,
no, I mean, this poll put them at 3 percentage points away from one another.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you know, people know who Stephen Lewis is. I mean, there's a school named after him right around where I grew up. You know, I mean, he was the leader of the Ontario NDP. He was the ambassador to the UN under a conservative government, which, you know, maybe Polyev will make Tom Mulcair ambassador to the UN.
No, they don't have to do that. They only that's where patronage still exists, and they don't have to give him anything because he doesn't.
Yeah, because he's a loser.
Because he's a loser.
Yeah. Apparently, someone on some media channel yesterday asked Avi Lewis what he thought about the fact that Tom Mulcair says he'd be a disaster for the party. Yeah. And Avi's just like, I don't care what Tom Mulcair thinks.
No.
Which is the correct answer.
100%. And I think also anybody that's saying that Avi Lewis will be a disaster is a fucking idiot. Like, there's nothing about him that will be a disaster.
Yeah.
Like, he might not succeed. It might be he might fail, quote unquote, but it's not gonna be a disaster.
There's no room for going down. No. And this is, you know, I saw there's a piece actually in The Line of all places by Tammy Robert, who's a journalist in somewhere in Saskatchewan, Saskatoon, Regina, and there's, you know, I read conservative outlets a lot, so I know what my enemies are thinking and how they're thinking. But you know, this was like, you know, Lewis is like a Hail Mary, and why not? Why not go big? Go for the guy who's talking about providing a public option for all these sectors of the economy that are dominated by like corporate oligopolies, right? Or is talking about like getting serious about phasing out fossil fuels in the, you know, near to medium future. Yeah. Right. And I think she's right. I think that you know, I can see the argument that Heather supporters make too, where it's like, we are at rock bottom. Now is the time to be prudent and cautious. Like, I understand that argument, but to me, you might as well just go big in hope.
We have to. I mean, what's the point otherwise?
Like, yeah. Like, it'd be one thing, like, maybe, like, so after 2011, right? The argument for mall care was like, yeah, we need to modernize, as in become more neoliberal, because we need to get across the finish line.
Yeah.
And then he didn't do that. He got outflanked from the left by Trudeau on many issues.
Oops.
And here we are today. So like a lot of the people who've been advocating for this quote unquote modernization of the party, I mean, don't really have standing to say how we should win. Like, even like Notley, who again did win, should have gone much further than she did as premier, but there were some gains. I mean, she's lost more than she's won. And the people surrounding her, who are like most responsible for it, they don't like, it's, the BC NDP, they can talk about winning. The Manitoba NDP can talk about winning. Saskatchewan, Alberta, it's like the Ontario NDP. It's like, you're not like, yeah, I know Alberta NDP is the biggest official opposition ever, which means nothing. Literally, you're the biggest losers ever. Like, you lost to someone who thinks drinking tonic water can cure COVID. And it's like it's interesting that you see a lot of these dynamics.
Yeah.
Infecting the Democratic Party in the US, which is essentially the Liberals and NDP merged together, impacting the NDP. Whereas it doesn't seem, these divisions don't seem to be impacting the Liberals. Like, the Liberals seem, with the exception of maybe like a dozen MPs, seem to be pretty united behind like Carney's agenda.
Well, okay, so this goes back to adults in the room then. Like, this is the big difference between, I have limited interaction with the Prime Minister's office, but I had pretty regular interaction with the Prime Minister's office just from my work in Quebec City. And there never seemed to be an adult in the room. Every single staffer I was dealing with, there was one woman who I dealt with who was like, oh, how did you get into this? And she's like, well, 3 years ago I was a student at this university. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, you went from, and so you were a liberal activist? No, not really. I interned in this office and I really liked it, and now I'm in the PMO. Like, it felt like there was no adults in the room. And I think that more than anything else is what is the power of Mark Carney. Because he walks in there and he's like, not only am I an adult, I have international experience. You don't even question my intelligence because you can hear my intelligence. And it's just, and this is what we lack so fucking severely on the left. It's like, you don't see that in Labour, you don't see it in the NDP, with few exceptions. And I think that people don't know what that's about. Like, I think it's like, what makes someone a serious person versus kind of not a serious person? And part of it is like excellent management, excellent human resources skills, all of the stuff that sucks. But that actually is what makes someone go, maybe we shouldn't have a Rob fucking Ashton panel because it's stupid, right? I have like someone go, whoa, what are we thinking about here, folks? This sucks, right?
Revolution Party of Canada, which, might have its own interests here, is saying the NDP aren't the left. Let's not continue to call them that. How do you respond to that?
What's your definition of left? Like, if you're saying they're socialists, no, obviously not. We wouldn't call them a socialist party. Are they the left-wing party that's in the House of Commons right now? Yes.
Yeah, they're left of the the Greens are just Elizabeth May.
The Greens are just Elizabeth May. Yeah.
And, yeah. And that's the thing, right? The Alberta NDP is even less of a left-wing party, but it's a two-party system in Alberta, just as it's a two-party system in Manitoba, Saskatchewan. So they are,
for all intents and purposes,
I guess it's a bit of a misnomer, but, this left-right distinction, comes out of French Revolution, right? And is an antiquated term just about where people sat in the French National Assembly. I was going to say Parliament. After the revolution, and I think what we're seeing now too, with this like populism that is increasing, and that the right has gotten so good at, is to some extent an erosion of traditional left and right distinctions. Totally. It's more about, I think Jeet here's called it, I don't know if you coined this, but he's talking about system versus anti-system politics.
So and to understand this in Canada, you have to go back to understanding what the parties were in the first place, right? The Conservatives have always been the party of the upper classes, the crustiest part of Canada, but they also were the party of the orange Protestant working class, frankly, right? The Liberals were the opposition to that. They're the business class in some cases, but not in other cases. They're the reformists. They wanted to see liberalization in our political process. That being said, they were the fiercest fighters against giving Indigenous people the vote in 1885. So, these are two kinds of political groups that you can superimpose them on the political spectrum. That's helpful to help us understand. But they're not left. Neither of them are left right. They're both establishment, as you said, with where Jeet is probably totally correct. And then everything operates in opposition to these two dominant forces. And that's where the NDP comes in. They are not just the party of the working class, but they're the party of social democratic policies that are trying to push the Liberals and the Conservatives equally. The problem is that in the destruction of the Keynesian era and the rise of neoliberalism is that the Liberals became experts in owning that progressive space on paper and absolutely not being progressive in real life.
Yeah, I mean, they're the party of woke capitalism.
They're the party of woke capitalism.
Yeah.
And that polarization is also causing the Conservatives to have a completely other existential crisis too, because now we've got a Liberal party that's effectively the Conservative Party, and they've also become effectively the right wing of the NDP too. It's kind of incredible, really.
Yeah. Anyways, music's back on. We've been talking for more than an hour.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah.
Thanks all of you for tuning in. Nora, where can people find your work?
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of you folks do subscribe to my stuff already, but I'm at Substack with my own name, so check that out. And online, we're tweeting about this stuff and blue skying about this stuff. I'll probably go live again tonight on my own, just to give a bit of a summary. I know you're off to a conference this afternoon.
Yeah, I'm. What time is it? 1:45? Is that?
It's 1:45.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be hanging out in like half an hour to go to the university to speak on a panel about anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism. Then I'm gonna come back here, probably interview some delegates. I'll have a story out tonight. And then tomorrow's in the morning is the results. There'll be some policy debates in the afternoon as well, and then I'll have another story out tomorrow. And then thanks everyone for tuning in, and stay safe out there.